Blessings and welcome. I am Tuesday May Thomas, and this is your weekly tarot energy forecast for October 6th through October 14th of 2018. It's getting dark in here. I'm recording this last minute so I can make sure that you get your weekly supplemental energy forecast on time. So the lighting might change. The sun is going down out here where I am. I love this community. Thank you all of the new subscribers, all of the people that are just stopping by for the first time to check this out. Over 300 videos on this channel, everything spiritual, metaphysical, Reiki, meditation. Every Thursday morning at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, I go live with my live stream 4D Trinity. Check it out, subscribe, give me the thumbs up. All of my information is down in the description box. I am an author and a speaker and a facilitator. I'm so very grateful for this community. Let's go ahead and get started. I use the Osho Zen Tarot, and as you know, we've been starting our readings getting an overview card from the James Wanless deck, the Voyager Tarot. So we're going to go ahead and do that again. Let's take a few moments to close our eyes. Take a breath in and out, and we'll start our shuffle, calling in our angels and our guides, and all of those light beings who love us, those divine ones who hold space for us. Oh. Okay, we had two. One moment. Now, which one do we go for? I don't even know which is which. I'm getting left, my left. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that just totally interesting? Now, I am going to put my glasses on, because remember last week I made a prediction and I was incorrect. Of course, I want to look at like what the other one was, but we're not going to look at that. Isn't that interesting? Last week when we pulled this card, I believe I said harmony, and I got all excited, and then it ended up being integrity, which was even more exciting. But isn't this interesting? This week, we did get harmony, and I know it's dark in here. There's a violin, there's a music stand, there's a rainbow flute, or is that a staff? Anyway, we're going to read the meaning here in a moment. There's a trumpet, a harp, all sorts of juicy bits and bobs here. So let's go ahead and have a look at our overview card, which is the Eight of Wands in James Wanless's Voyager Tarot. Here is the cover of the book, just so you can see it. And we're going to get started. I will hold this up. Harmony, light, is the spectrum of color, the harmony of the rainbow's colors. Musical instruments are wands that characterize the ability to create harmony and to be harmonious. Bamboo, the harmony of yin and yang, and green, the harmony of red hot and cool blue, are also wands. They symbolize you bridging differences and oppositions to make a harmonious whole. Harmony is the wand of the middle path, the middle road. With centered and equanimous in energy, you can see the most direct way to resolution and partnership. Work together. Work things out. Work in concert. Honor unity in diversity. You are a bridge, a go-between, a resolver. Orchestrate, integrate, bring together. That is so amazing and juicy and deep. Because remember, I'm going to move this back just a little bit. Because remember, last week we had integrity. And as you know, if you're a part of this community, we've just been going through massive DNA detoxing, which was the topic of our last week's live stream, or this last week's live stream, with death and dying. And there has been just such this massive shift and completion for so many of us. And as we complete and as we come to that full circle of that cycle, then here we are back at square one, or back to 0 point within ourselves. And again, what is this about with this harmony card? This is about not doing it on your own. This is about community. This is about service. This is about joining hands with your brothers and sisters. Yet also, it's about joining hands with your inner brother and sister. It's about uniting all the fronts on the inside. So even if you've been doing really good and you've been working your healing grids and taking care of yourself, This card is also inviting us to look at those places where there has still been a sense of aspects that are unresolved, that are seeking resolution, that are seeking to become harmonic, that are seeking to find their new middle path, their new zone. And it might be with addiction, it might be with a lover, it might be with a creative project and procrastination, it might be getting over this last corner or this last turn about healing a part of your past. Let's go ahead and ask the Osho Zen Tarot for more clarity. If you would like a private reading, send me an email. My links are all down below in the Show More box. And I also do a special. I do a really amazing special of $30 US for 30 minutes when you leave a written review for one of my books at Amazon or iBooks. You can email me for details. I do use the Osho Zen. And again, we're going to take a moment and close our eyes. And we're going to start to shuffle. Connecting to the higher self that is the culmination of the collective higher self. That one voice, that one heart, that unity consciousness that bridges all of our consciousness in one love. We connect with you, and also, as always, we appreciate the divine guidance and navigation of our angels, of all those light beings who love us. We are so very grateful. Loved ones who have passed away, who walk with us still. Maybe you're human, maybe you were a pet, and we feel your energy still here with us, supporting us, nurturing us, holding space for us. So we thank you, our angels, and we thank you, this card, these cards, for all of the divine wisdom you bestow. I sign myself into the keynote of everyone guided to watch these readings. May you receive what you have stopped by here to get. No matter how much of this reading you watch, may you receive a divine download, a message just for you that will help you gain greater clarity and insight on your path. So we had a popper. I'm going to keep going. We thank you, our angels. We thank you, our angels. We thank you. We thank you. Okay, we had a nice big chunk fall out, and this one here wants to come out. The Fool, love it. This one wants to come out. Friendliness. Okay, here we go. I love it when a bunch of cards fall out. Ooh, the first one that fell out was Silence. Remember, we've had this like over and over and over and over again. We should be really good at being quiet now. Okay, I see where we're going here. Man, isn't that interesting? When there's like a really big point, these cards make sure we like turn the corner. It shows us what's around the corner, and then it hits the reverse, and then it reminds us of where we've been and what we have to resolve, or what maybe there's areas we can continue to resolve there before we completely turn that corner. So we've had a peek at the corner, but we've also been reversing. So let me just take a moment here to set these up a little further. This is so juicy. Okay, so the whole top row reflects last week. One of the big hitters that we had in the culmination of our reading is completion. And that was that illumination of the third eye center. That was the final piece of the puzzle clicking into place with regard to some area of your life, but specifically the area of healing in your life, the area of you attuning to the truth in your heart, the area that speaks to you having that direct breaker 10-4, higher self, where are you at? Higher self's like, I'm right here, where you at? Okay, I'm right here too. What's the message? What's the download? And it's like, it's that ability to cultivate that like lightning speed, no questions asked, no, what's that word? No, what's the word? You know, it's an interesting thing, right? Because when we start to hear, it's like, well, what voice do I listen to? A lot of people, in my experience that I've worked with, they say they have many voices in their heads. And they're like, well, when I start to tune in and meditate, they say they hear a lot of voices. And they're like, well, which one is my higher self? Who am I supposed to listen to here? And ultimately, the voice, what I teach, is the voice that's on the inside of you is your higher self. The voice that's on the outside of you is the universe. And mostly those two are in tandem. They will basically generally give you a very similar lay of the land, a very similar mode of guidance. One might be a little different than the other, yet they're the same, if you will. Now granted, if we're going through a tremendous healing path and we're out of whack, we're out of balance, and we're more, the tipping point of our well-being, mind, body, and emotions is tipping more towards the shadow, more towards the tar body, and we're confused, and we've really got some gunky, funky stuff to heal, then the voice on the inside and the outside might be overtaken by that gunky, funky tar body, by that shadow aspect of yourself. And so no matter what you do or where you go or who you're trying to listen to, it feels very, very challenging to know what you're supposed to do or who you're supposed to listen to. And isn't it interesting? Right next to completion is the silence card. There is power in us cultivating the ability to be still and to be silent. There is so much power in that, because the world is everything but that. And often we feel that in order to keep up in the world, we have to meet the world and be just as noisy as it, be just as busy as it, be just as loud as the next person in order to get noticed, to be appreciated, to get somewhere in life. And I know I'm going a little bit all over the map, but that's kind of what we do here. Yet that silence, that cultivating the ability to be still and to be silent, is what's going to allow you to truly drop into your heart. And from your heart space, from all those voices, if you hear many voices, maybe there's 2, maybe there's 3, maybe there's 6, but out of all those voices, that which resonates as truth at your heart space, that's the voice you listen to. And there might be more than one voice that resonates as truth, so then you just take your pick. You know, you might have many angels and your higher self and the good vibes of the universe saying like, hey, here's all these opportunities. You could take door number 1, you could take door number 3, you could take door number 8. You know, whichever door feels in resonance to you, take that door. And there's no wrong door as long as it feels in resonance to you as truth, aka it feels good to you. That's the door to choose. Now I know this again can be a little complex because sometimes we are guided to make a choice and we're afraid. And so we get to navigate and feel into, is this the kind of fear that I stand up in courage and I face that fear? Or is this the kind of trickster energy that's just trying to poke and bully at me and get a rise out of me? And so it's tricky, especially when you're in that shadow way and you don't feel like you have your full clarity. Maybe you don't feel very grounded. Maybe you don't feel very centered and connected to truth and to the spirit. And so all the voices in your head might pull you every which way. Yet again, your ability to cultivate, and you know what we say here, meditate, 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 meditate. That's your superpower, among many of them. But that is such a very easy way and means to cultivate the ability to practice silence. And look at the moon. You know, when we become silent and still, the world is your oyster. When you become silent and still, all the mysteries and the secrets of the universe open to you. All of a sudden, you know things. And people go, how do you know that? And you're like, I don't know. I don't know. It just feels right. It just feels true. I got it in a meditation. That's how I know, or that's how I got that sense of this or that. And the sense of this or that is the sense of you, and it's very important. It's vital. It's vital to move into the greater, beautiful expanse of you that has been all the work that we've been doing for so long. And as you know, if you watch these readings, and thank you, there's like some hardcore regulars that are always here, and so thank you so much for all of your support. I'm so very grateful. But as you know, each week, like the stories have been threading for like a year now. Like there's just been this storyline. that we've all been moving through and working through. And ultimately, it's bringing us into this place of completion. It's bringing us into this place of alignment with the truth in our heart that then clicks into place through the third eye. That's a major arcana card. You know, if you study with me, right, if you watch these videos, that the third eye is a reflection, is a direct reflection of the heart chakra. As your heart opens and as you heal the space of the heart, your third eye begins to activate, and vice versa. As you begin to activate your heart from a clear, true, pure intention, not prying your third eye open, not forcing it open to have some magic powers or to manipulate others, but out of love, the heart opens equally. And so as the heart opens and the third eye opens, well, that which resides in your heart, your truth, the vision of you that you know you are, your ability to really see that here, to not have any blocks or limitations about voyeuring it and being able to see it in the 3D, in the world here, becomes with ease. And then you begin to get excited at the potential of all there is to celebrate in your life, because you begin to realize the truth of you. And the truth of you then, as it completes and it sits in at that third eye, that final piece of the puzzle, well, you get to chill out and relax, knowing that it's already taken care of. Once you keep attuning and listening to your higher self, and you honor the voice, that guidance of it, right? Whether it tells you to slow down, take a break. This is a card that's of ordinariness, that's saying, hey, take that. You know, you've been talking about that you want to go to the park forever. You know how you've been talking about you want to take that day and go to the beach and take a book and a blanket and just like turn off your phone. That's what this card is saying. It's saying, yeah, you know, you've been talking about you want to go out and take a hike with your best friend and have a catch up, and it's been like 6 weeks and you haven't seen each other or something like that. When we honor and we just listen and we say, okay, and we say yes to our higher self, to that voice that is often very much whispering, right? According to A Course in Miracles, which I am a student of, and what Marianne Williamson says that I love, is that the ego speaks loudest. You know, and the voice for God, the voice of your higher self, of that part of you that is in tune with love, with light, with source, with your own divinity, will often whisper. And that's why if you're constantly talking, and there's constantly noise and disruptions and things going on that are keeping you from knowing who you are and your power and your silence, well, it's going to be very challenging to hear those whispers of your higher self, to hear those divine steps of guidance. And look at the moon here as well. That speaks to our intuition. That speaks to our receptivity. That speaks to our psychic powers. And you know, those that are very, very, very attuned with their psychic powers, there's people who talk about how psychic they are all the time. And there's others who don't talk about it. They just are. Either way, there's an attunement on a psychic level, yet that which is ready to be bestowed to you, excuse me, is only gifted in your silence. So if you imagine that all of the talking and all of the noisiness and all of the ways that we have to keep fidgeting and fussing and not being still, not being silent, that's prohibiting those sweet downloads that remind you of your divine perfection. They remind you of your majesty, of your mastery. And we're just coming back to that. We're coming back to remembering that. And then as we come back to it, we're coming into that place of celebrating that, where we not only get to see it within ourselves, but we see it in our brothers and our sisters. And it is a very feminine energy. It is free. It is, look at the rain is falling, they're barefoot. There's a big, strong sense of, like relief and celebration and just dancing and kicking up the water under your feet and letting nature and the leaves just swirl around you. And You're sovereign. You're free. Because you're living true to thee. So that's a part of our big completion. And again, when we complete, when we listen, when we pay attention and we honor that divine guidance, we automatically create harmonic convergence wherever we go. We automatically create the correct conditions for harmony to happen, for harmony to become miraculously manifest in our presence. It is a side effect. It is a natural benefit that occurs by you listening to your heart, by you honoring your higher self, and making those moves on behalf of it, whether it says slow down, you move too fast, and take some time and get grounded again, take an Epsom salt bath. Really, that card speaks to earthing, to connecting with Mama Earth. Because then once you're grounded and you're taking care of yourself, then you can party. It's hard to celebrate when you're stressed out and you're not taking care of yourself and things are bubbling over. It's very difficult. And what's right below this, it's interesting, is exactly that, is that suppression. So this is a card of fire. And it's those knots, it's those tied in knots of stress and of anguish and anger that are ready to be unfolded, ready to be unfurled, and right next to it is control. It takes a lot of energy. This is a card of the mind. It takes a lot of energy to hold on to those patterns that perpetuate pain. It takes a lot of energy to hold on to those patterns that perpetuate pain and sorrow. The past. It's all happening in the now. Yet, all of those thoughts and all of those memories of what has happened to us in the past, if those don't be given the opportunity to resolve themselves, then we ourselves become stuck in the past. And we get further and further away from this party that's happening in the now moment. It becomes harder and harder to even imagine what it's like to be silent. And it's easier to talk about your pain, to walk around with your pain, to walk around with your, quote, suffering, than to heal it, because you become terrified of going through it again. You become terrified of feeling those feelings again, of having to go through the dark to get back to the light. And so you hold on. And that's control. Sometimes we think about control, about controlling others. But this is like where you're so controlling your own emotions and your own stuff, and you just keep pushing it down. You keep pushing it down, when really what's ready to happen is this sweet release. And you know where that sweet release happens? It happens when you turn off that phone and that TV and you roll out that blanket and you lay on earth and you take your shoes off and you touch earth. It happens when you're in savasana at the end of a really good yoga class and you're just silent and you're still. It happens at those beautiful moments when you've released, when you've let go. So it all adds up to this releasing of control, releasing of the way that things have to happen, so that the suppression, all of that has been hidden in the subconscious, all those stressful patterns that have been running the life, your life, our life, can be released. And it's almost like the cork is in the bottle, but the bottle has been shaken, and it's like that fizzy water or soda, and there's tension. There's tension. This may not be for everyone, but if this resonates with you, there's a certain tension, and you are coming to the place where you recognize and you realize that needs to be taken care of, that those parts of your life, that cork needs to pop. Something needs to give. Your willingness to relinquish control, your willingness to say, you know what, I'm ready to go in deep here, to go to the next level of this healing, is what's required. Because the stress that happens when we don't release, it's like holding a ball underwater, right? And it's easy maybe to play that game and to have like a little, rubber ball and you have to hold it underwater. But then what if there's like two balls you have to hold underwater, and then there's like another one and another one, and another one, another one. And then all of a sudden you're trying to keep all these balls underwater, and something's going to blow, something's going to give, and it's going to be you, right? Unless you begin to look at those balls and let go, right? Let pop, 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 just let them come up. Let them come up so that you can honor them and honor yourself and see them, because it's in seeing them that you begin to see yourself clearly. Maybe there's patterns that you've been walking with for your whole life that are just so ready to come to the surface now, and there will be tears. Yet that's the way of releasing. And what is so beautiful on the other side of this, because we have this beautiful major arcana, which is aloneness, which is the hermit, which is being a light unto yourself. And again, the hermit walks alone. Only you can do it for yourself. Whatever it is that's ailing you, that's causing this sense of suffering, that's causing this rerunning of this pattern, that's keeping you away from experiencing harmony, keeping you away from experiencing that unification of yourself with yourself, of feeling free, feeling like you want to party, like our celebration card, feeling like you can come back to 0 point, hit the reset button like the fool, and just be like, la 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 la, I'm listening to my higher self. Nothing has to make sense. I relinquish control. You know, and in this last week's 4D Trinity, DNA Detox, Death and Dying, and I know some of them get long, and some of you only watch the first hour, and I'm grateful for however much you watch, and I pray and I affirm that you get what you need, that everything I share here serves your path of spiritual growth and sovereignty. Yet, what I've realized is that there's some really juicy stuff that happens halfway through and in those last hours of those shows. I mean, really incredible stuff that begins to happen that I don't plan. It just happens that way. So I invite you, if you've watched only half of some of those shows, but you've been interested in any of them, oh, the AC just went off, but you've been interested in them, I invite you to go back. I'll put some playlists up here in the corner that you can check into, and also you can scroll the playlists at my YouTube, and you can go into the search bar and just type chakras in, or meditation, or DNA, or whatever, you know, and see what comes up, that it may serve your path. The point that I'm making here, though, is that, again, this relinquishing of control, getting still and silent enough to hear your higher self, to allow it to guide you along the most divine path. I was mentioning in 4D Trinity this week that there's what Marianne Williamson says, and it's very powerful, and I'm not dropping religious stuff on you, and I use the word God in tandem as it reflects love. So when I say God, I'm saying love. And this beautiful thing that she speaks of, and that many preachers speak of, is this idea of, in prayer, saying, God, use me, use my hands, use my tongue, use my eyes, see through my eyes, use my voice, use my body, use my art, my creative talents and abilities, use me, love. Use me in this world. And that is so very powerful. We think we have it all figured out, or that we have to have it all figured out. And when we do that prayer, and I tell you, I do that prayer. And I just did that prayer again this morning. And I bawled. I bawled because it takes courage to let go of control and trust that there is a power within you and all around you and beyond you that has your back, that takes care of you, that takes care of everything, whether it's your bills, your health, your this, your that. And yes, there's a 3D level of us showing up and being present in our truth. Yet there's also then equally this letting go and trusting that there is a divine force taking care of you, taking care of all of us, actually. And it's that complete relinquishing of control. And so I said that prayer again this morning. I was doing a nice long meditation this morning, and then I started doing that prayer, and there's a mirror above the altar where I sit, and I had opened my eyes at a certain point, and gazing over the candle into my own eyes, I was saying that prayer, and I started bawling, and I had to go back to bed and lay down and do a little Reiki nap with myself, because it's just this peeling, this like shedding of all of these, wrong card, maybe it's the right card, of all of these layers of control of like thinking that I need to have it figured out. And it's just like when you're like, God, use me. I give you my talents and my abilities. I give you my voice. I give you my body. I give you my eyes, my tongue. It's like that is so, so powerful. And that is total relinquishing of control. And so we come back to 0 point. I don't know anything. The fool. Trusting. One moment, one step, one breath at a time. Not having to figure it all out. Even if you have grand visions and divine desires for some idea of your future self or your possible future, hold those lightly. Hold them lightly in your heart and trust that if they're true in your heart and they're true and they're meant for you, they will come to pass, yet without needing and wanting and pushing and forcing, but for the highest good of you and the highest good of all. We are all one, and we are all here to be served in that highest light as we allow ourselves to be, as we allow one another to be. And so it's a great turning point. It's a great lesson. It's a great opportunity. And again, there's an aspect of knowing. You know, there's a lot of folks that know a lot of spiritual stuff, and they can quote it very well, and they can recite it very well. And that's one level. The other level is to actually live it. You know, I was just talking to someone recently, and where there's, you know, you can be a spiritual scholar and get an A+ on your paper handwritten test of knowing, you know, verse by verse and learning off whatever spiritual quotes or theories or theologies, yet integrating them, yet really applying them, trusting them in your life. Now that's a very, very different paradigm. It's walking your talk. You can talk. You can tell other people what to do. Yet, how are you doing with yourself? How are you doing on your own earth walk? How are you doing holding your own staff of power rather than telling other people how they should be wielding their staff of power? It's hilarious. You know, and again, that's another thing of control is again, we were talking about that inner control, but there's also that outer control of like, are you just being so busy in telling other people what they need to do and how they need to do it? And you might think you're just being nice, and you might think you're doing them a favor, you know, and in some cases, maybe you are, especially when it's asked for, when the information is asked for. Yet, in tandem, is it also just another fractal of a control pattern in your nature? We're going to move on to the bottom row. Friendliness. I love this card. This means someone's got your back. Someone sees you. And you know, when we're going through these learning curves and these really powerful bursts of spiritual growth, it's just, isn't it just so precious to have someone, to have a friend? You know, and maybe you have a lot of friends, and maybe you have one friend, and maybe you have many best friends. Yet there's someone that really sees you here. There's someone that really gets you, that really sees what you're going through, whatever your passage is now, and they got you. And they're growing with you. They're growing with you. There's a beautiful sense of this equanimity. That's the wrong word. Equanimity? I think that's the correct word. Where I feel like there's this, it's like, I want to say tag team, but it's not necessarily a tag team, but where you're paralleling. I feel like there's this parallel with someone, and even though you might have different karmas, you share a lot in many same and similar realms, and you're ripening together. It's really beautiful. You're ripening together. The fruit has already fallen from the tree, and you're like, I see you, and they're like, I see you too, I got you too. And this is a friend. This isn't a lover. It's not a romantic thing. This is like a buddy, a BFF. This is like your people, you know, someone who's just like, I got you, I trust you, you trust them. It's just like you can bawl your eyes out. You can, you know, have smeared makeup all over your face. It's like you don't have to be perfect in front of them. You don't have to put on a show. This is like they they see you and you see them, and you know, that is just so precious. So where is that in your life? And if it's not there, if you're like, okay, this doesn't make sense, it's coming in. It's coming in to meet you, to see you as your fruit falls from the tree and says, I'm ready. I'm ready. And isn't it interesting, because our final card is patience. So yes, you're ready. And readiness is here to meet you, yet we're still in a cycle. So keep preparing and keep readying yourself. All of those dreams that are in your heart, all of those things that you know are your truth and that are true to you, that are here for you, they are. They are. There is also a divine timing. And so again, we relinquish control. We give it up to God. We give it up to Source, all of our dreams, our desires. And then we are on standby in our meditations. Where would you have me go? What would you have me do? What would you have me say? Dear God, or higher self, or divine Buddha, you know, what is your divine guidance for me? You know the desires, the divine passions, the gifts, the things that make me excited in my heart. And now I am seeing with great clarity and aligning my heart with that third eye vision. I'm seeing through the veils of illusion in this world that have always said that you can't heal that part of your life, or to be afraid of that, or that you need to control how that happens, that you can't just know it's true in here and then let go of the reins and be on standby for where to go and what to do and how to do it, etc. So there is the acquisition of patience, the ability to practice patience. But look at her astral rainbow colors. And she's pregnant. You know, and so even though this is a female on the card, you are preparing to give birth to yourself. You are preparing to give birth to yourself. And you know what, with all of these moons, and I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, oh, there's 9, of course, she's pregnant. There's 9 moons. What this tells me is there's this very significant birthing process that's going to happen. But what I'm getting is that there's going to be a birth of you for the next 9 months, for the next 9 moons. And I don't even know when our full moon is in October. It's probably towards the end of October. But I feel even those new moons and those full moons, that over the next 9 months, our lives are going to completely change. Completely change. And where we're going is into integrating and allowing harmonic convergence of those aspects within ourselves that are ready to be healed. So that the divine orchestra within you, you know, sounds like a beautiful, you know, it's interesting. I'm a yoga teacher, and sometimes at the first ohms, you know, it's often like cookie cutter almost. At a yoga class, you'll do a couple ohms at the beginning, maybe, right? But I'm just saying cookie cutter. Generally, there'll be a couple ohms at the beginning, then you do a couple of ohms at the end of class. And often the first ohms at the beginning of class, it's like that orchestra tuning up, where it's like, ooh, ooh, you know, it's a little like concordant. And then at the end, everyone's all tuned and oh, you know, and it's like this beautiful harmonic convergence. The harmony happens because we've all connected to unity consciousness within. We've unionized, you know, or is that the correct way to say it? We've cultivated a sense of union between the mind and the body, and so the emotions can rest, and so spirit can become one with us through those correct conditions being created. I wish you so much love and so much light. And you know, everything I share here, it's very interesting because everything we share here pertains to exactly this journey that we all share and that we're all on at this time. My books speak to that as well. I do have 2 free books. When you join my website at tuesdaymaythomas.com, you get a free copy of my mini ebook, The Higher Self Blueprint of Mastery. Also, it is available for free at iBooks for downloading. I have another book called The NOWOSPHERE that's for free download at Kindle and also at iBooks, and it specifically speaks to what we're going through here, the shedding of those shields, of those pains of the past, and learning how to live in the now. It's a very different atmosphere, the NOWOSPHERE. And NOWOSPHERE Book 1, that is for free, it's a mini book, and it speaks to us understanding our spiritual sensitivity. It's a really powerful arc of vulnerability we get to go through as we lay down control, as we relinquish needing to be the one who has it all figured out. As we relinquish letting go of stress and those patterns that have ruled our lives. We're beginning to realize that as if we don't do that, I mean, we see it in our health. We see it in our sleep patterns. We see it in how our body digests food. And if we're able to just be at peace throughout the day. So I wish you blessings and love and light and lots of support. I do spiritual counseling, one-on-one with clients, over the phone as well. If you have any questions, my email is down below. I'm very grateful for all of your donations to this channel. You can check out my books. All of my links are down in the Show More box. Namaste, everyone, with so much love. We'll see you soon. Many blessings.